Hello everyone and welcome back to Your Year of Tarot. This is lesson 11 and we're going to be doing some minor arcana readings today. So grab your deck, get comfy, get cozy, and let's learn some tarot. In this lesson, we're going to be doing two kinds of readings with the minor arcana that we've gone through already. I'm going to show you how to do a single suit reading and then a full pip card reading. This will involve splitting the deck into multiple pieces. So there are many reasons to split a deck for readings. A lot of the time when we think about doing tarot readings, we think of having all of the cards together and we shuffle them all and we do a reading, which is very common, which is the majority of readings that you will do going forward. It's normal and it makes more sense. But there are a lot of historical spreads, and some modern ones, some people still create them, where it makes more sense to split the deck into its component parts. What do I mean by a component part? You can either split it into 2 or 3, generally. So you could be splitting it into major and minor arcana, or minor arcana, court cards, major arcana. They are the most common splits. But you can also split them into the individual elements, i.e. the individual suits, so the cups, swords, wands, or pentacles, depending on what you're actually trying to do with your reading. Now, there are many reasons why you might want to do this and to split your deck for readings. Firstly, it's going to help you learn the cards. It's going to help you learn how they are in relation to each other, and it's going to help you learn them in contexts that you might not necessarily have tried them before. Secondly, we will split the deck if we're trying to do very certain things with our reading. A common deck split is reading major arcana at the top, reading court cards in the middle, and then reading pip cards at the bottom. We do this because we're trying to do very specific things with every section. This will make more sense as you start going through the court cards and the major arcana. But the idea is then we read major arcana as overarching themes, court cards as people involved, and then minor arcana as actual steps to move forward from it. They are some of the main reasons that we might split the deck. We're only splitting the deck if we really feel that we have a need for it, or if we're trying to get a certain kind of advice. As the pip cards can be more specific, removing pip cards and having them as tangible steps is a really easy way to get almost like a to-do list or guided action steps from your reading. Court cards can represent a lot of things, and we will be going over those in the next lesson, do not worry. But people might remove them to read for people or for archetypes or to read for different life stages. And then people might remove the major arcana for symbolic overarching themes from that person's life or that person's current situation. Removing different parts of the deck might come new to quite a lot of people. And reading different parts of the deck might seem really strange if it's not something that you're used to doing. But I'd like to get you started on that early on. So we're going to do 2 readings. Firstly, a single suit reading. Normally for single suit readings, you read all of that suit, including the court cards, but as we haven't gone through them yet in these lessons, we're not going to have the court cards in there just so that you don't get confused. The reason why you might want to do a single suit reading is because you're looking for advice from that particular element or what that suit represents. So for example, if you were doing a career-specific reading, you might want to remove the pentacles and do a suit-specific pentacle reading. If you were doing a reading for relationships, you might want to remove the cups and just do a cups-specific reading. If you've done a reading recently and you've noticed a severe lack in one of the suits or one of the elements, you might want to just take apart that suit and ask it for advice before moving on. How can I see more of you? How can I embody you better? We're going to get straight into 2 readings. So let's start with our single suit reading and we're going to be reading with the suit of swords. For our first reading, we are going to be using the element of air. The air element is communication, ideas, intellect, and conflict. And for this, we are looking at the suit of swords. We're going to start this one with a basic 3-card draw. These give you a lot of opportunity for creativity, a lot of scope for movement, and making the spread how you want it. A common spread is past, present, future, or a mind, body, spirit, but we are changing it up for this reading. So start by shuffling your cards however you feel most comfortable to do so. And we are going to lay these out, simply 3 cards next to each other. And then you are going to allocate each one with a meaning. So card 1, this is going to be the theme of the reading. The question underneath it kind of is, what do I need to know? But it's a very generalized card. Next, we're going to pull for position 2. Position 2 is what lies beneath this. What is the underlying feelings or situation that is affecting the card in position 1? It gives you a little bit of a deeper meaning. And then position 3, we are going to look at advice we need to deal with this. So what comes up? How can we move forward? What do we need to change in order to work through whatever is coming up as 1 or 2? So let's start with the first draw in our spread, and that is our daily theme. So the first card that we draw is the 5 of Swords. So upright, this one means a painful victory. You might remember from our lesson on the suit of swords. So there isn't much to say with the first card as it sets up the reading as a whole. This is something at the forefront of your mind. It could be a trait that you need to look at. It could be a message coming through. It's up to your intuition what this means. And then the next 2 cards will give us more context. So for the first card, you kind of take the meaning as it is. So the theme at the moment is 5 of Swords, the painful victory. Next, we are going to pull our second card. So we are looking now at the 10 of Swords, which upright means ruin. So remember, our card in position 2 was what lies beneath this. So what lies beneath the theme? Underneath this painful victory is ruin. In this context, I would read it as a fear of or an expectation of ruin, what is underneath this theme and what it is that we need to be dealing with. So how do we move forward from this? If there's always a painful victory and there's feelings of a fear of ruin, or there's a fear that something is always going to go wrong or break, which is why the victory is painful, how do we deal with that? So we pull our third card, which is our advice card. Here we got our 6 of Swords. And 6 of Swords, if you remember rightly, was very simply moving on. Once we've pulled our advice card, we can then read the spread backwards. And that gives us our meaning. So the advice from this spread is to let go of the fear that everything will fall to ruins if you don't succeed. A painful victory doesn't just hurt others, it hurts you too. Is it really a victory if it's born of fear or suffering? Because we've not pulled any clarifiers here, and we're not getting any more, we have to deal with what is just on the table. So this one's a pretty simple spread. It's quite nice. You've got painful victory. So yes, there's success. Yes, there's wonderful things happening, but there is a level of pain. There's a level of turmoil that's coming with it. And that's because the actions you're taking for this victory are rooted in a fear of ruin. And our advice from that is to move on. Okay, how was that? Single suit reading. It's not so bad. It's only 3 cards to start with. We're going to now move on and do a full pip card reading. So with the pip card readings, we're using just the 1 to 10s. So as we mentioned earlier, you might split the deck into pip cards and then court cards and then major arcana. That's a very common way to do it. So we're just going to do a pip card reading. For this one, we are going to do a 4-card compass spread, and we are going to pull clarifiers. We didn't do that in the last one, and that's how we ask for more information. So let's get straight into our compass. For this spread, we are going to be pulling a 4-card compass reading, and we will be pulling clarifiers. So just as before, shuffle however is comfortable to you. And then when you are ready, when you feel like it's in a position to, we are going to lay out the base of our reading. With the compass, we ask ourselves an overarching question. This is a common one that I get from other people seeking a reading. And the question will be, How am I stopping myself from moving forward? To this, we pull 4 cards. Our first card in the south is where I've come from. Our second card in the east is where I want to go. Our third card in the west is what is keeping me stuck. And our fourth card in the north is the destination if I continue as I am. So once we've laid out our spread, we are ready to read the first 4 cards. And we're going to read this reading as a whole before we start pulling clarifiers. So when we turn over our first card, in our first position, we have our 8 of Cups reversed, which is disappointment. Our second card, we've got the 9 of Pentacles, which upright is beauty and abundance. Our third card, we've got the 2 of Wands, which was exploration. And our fourth card is the 3 of Swords, which is turmoil. So when we've pulled over our first 4 cards, we can look at our first impressions of the reading. So a zoomed out view of the reading is that we have a balance of all of the elements. We've got no repeated suits or numbers. There isn't one area that is being overly pulled to. There isn't one area that's weighted more than the others. It gives the impression of a very even weighting to these issues, or that there isn't strongly one thing that is becoming an issue. When there's no real pull to one element or another, it can be a very general uneasiness. Let's start by breaking down the first card, where I've come from, and the 8 of Cups reversed. So if this card is disappointment, then we have left something behind, something that made us feel disappointed. We were working towards a certain goal, and when we got close to the end, we realised that this isn't actually what we wanted. Perhaps we didn't think it all of the way through, perhaps we had our own assumptions about what this would be, but we have walked away from something, we have left disappointed, but we are moving on. Then we're going to move to the east. And that is our second card, where do I want to go? To this we drew the 9 of Pentacles. This is a fairly simple one. It's a relaxed life of beauty, of abundance, connected to the natural world, feeling at one with everything we have, feeling complete. So let's move over to the west. Our third card, what is keeping us back? And for this we drew the 2 of Wands. So upright, this is a card of exploration. Reversed, if you'll remember, it is a fear of the unknown, but we drew it upright. So if exploration is holding us back, it can mean that we aren't deciding on a singular path. We keep getting pulled in different directions with different interests. So we're not focusing our energy into one particular place. It can also be trialing too many different things, too many explorations of different paths, not committing to one path. It can also mean feeling torn between what you want to do and what you should do. There's a lot that can go into this card in this position. But let's look at our final card in the north. Where am I going if I continue as I am? And we got the 3 of Swords, which upright is turmoil. This is showing that the inability to pick a path, the need to keep exploring, is going to lead to a tumultuous feeling. There's not the peace and grounded feeling that we've got from our second card, the 9 of Pentacles. It is a feeling that things won't stop moving. It's unfocused energy. Overall, if we were to answer the question from this spread alone with no clarifiers, how am I stopping myself moving forward? I would answer it as, you keep making change, but you're never fully leaving your comfort zone, exploring new paths without ever picking one to stick to for a decent amount of time. From the card in the east, we have a wonderful goal and a lot that we want to achieve. If what is keeping me stuck is this exploratory phase, when you try a little of a lot of things, only to the point where it's fun and comfortable and not doing the difficult things, you don't grow as a person and your goals don't grow with you. This spread already reads to me as a cycle, being that making change, going for and aiming for something greater, keep making plans but not going for them fully, half-baked ideas leading to this inner turmoil, leading us to change again, never fully leaving our comfort zone in an endless loop. This is when we can go and pull our clarifiers for whatever feels unclear. While this seems pretty clear to me, we're going to pull clarifiers for each card to see if we can get a little more detail. So let's start pulling our clarifiers. We will start under card 1 in the south, where I've come from, where we drew 8 of Cups. So our 5th card of the spread, we have drawn the 8 of Pentacles. Upright, this is hard work. And then next to it, we have drawn the Seven of Wands reversed. So these two cards give more nuance to that card in that south, that walking away, that leaving disappointment. It says behind us there was a lot of hard work and feeling attacked. So the Seven of Wands reversed is that feeling of being attacked, being perceived to be attacked, when that's not actually the case. Under the Eight of Wands and that walking away disappointed, it's putting a lot of hard work into something and feeling criticised for the work that you've put into it. Maybe it's self-criticism, maybe it's external criticism, but feeling criticised for the work that you've put in and being so uncomfortable in that you decide to leave disappointed rather than carry on. Let's pull under card 2 in the East. Where do I want to go? And this is where we drew the Nine of Pentacles, our beauty and abundance. We've pulled the Eight of Wands reversed, which is chaos. The card in the East is not one that we really needed to draw a clarifier for. It was pretty self-explanatory that we're moving towards and what we desire is this life of comfort and abundance. But underneath it, there's a level of chaos. It could be that we are trying to run away from this internal chaos. When we add this feeling of chaos to this feeling of beauty and abundance and kind of peace and connection, we're saying that there's a desperation to get to this point. We're not going towards this point because this feels almost like happy and calm and aligned, but because there is chaos underneath it and we're feeling almost a desperation to escape and to move past this. Let's pull under our card in the West. What is keeping me stuck? Well, we drew the Two of Wands in exploration. Here we have drawn the Five of Cups reversed. So this card is a card of moving on, and we've drawn it with our exploration card. This kind of is doubling down on our first card and telling us the importance of that meaning. So we're leaving disappointed in our first card in the South. And now this one, the Five of Cups reversed, we're paying so much attention to those things in front of us that have fallen, that have left us disappointed, and we're ignoring all of the good bits behind us. Both of the figures in these cards are looking away, looking outward. They're not focusing on what it is that they actually have and building on those skills, those wants and desires. It's a constant need to move and change, and it's not coming from a positive place. It's coming from a place of disappointment and a place of being uncomfortable sitting with criticism or uncomfortable leaving that comfort zone. So you'd rather continuously change, continuously move and do other things than learn and grow from your current situation. And let's finally draw some cards for our card in the North. Our card in the 4th position, if I keep the destination, if I keep going as I am, where we drew the Three of Swords and turmoil. We have drawn the Six of Pentacles reversed, which is superiority, and the Three of Wands reversed, which is obstacles. So this is sitting with the turmoil. There's a feeling of superiority. You get to a point of a level of mastery, but it doesn't come from a grounded, I'm actually good at something perspective. It comes from a place of, I have showed them. This links really closely with that Seven of Wands right down in the South. Then we've got our Three of Wands reversed, our obstacles. So with the context of this reading, this clarifier is saying that these obstacles in front of us, these things that keep making us walk away back in the first card, they are things that we are placing there. These aren't things that people are doing to us. Yes, we will receive criticism. Yes, we will receive different feedback. Yes, people are going to question our ideas, but we don't feel grounded or safe enough within ourselves to actually say, no, this is what I want. This whole reading, when we've got all of the cards down, you can see a very clear cycle happening, and it's giving us an opportunity to break that cycle. We start at the South, where we are disappointed with what we've got. We're leaving because we're putting in all of this work and we are feeling attacked and criticised. And rather than stick with it or feel grounded in what we're doing, we have decided to leave disappointed, to move on. What we really want, that card in the East, is this life of beauty and abundance. but we want it because we're trying to avoid a level of chaos. Our card in the East, what is keeping me stuck? That need for exploration and that need to be constantly moving on, not paying attention to the things that are behind us, the things that we have achieved, all of the good things behind us. We're constantly looking into the distance to try and find other things to satisfy that feeling, because if we keep looking, maybe something will be the right thing. And that feeling in the North, where we are going, if we don't change anything and we have got turmoil, this is telling us that if we don't break that cycle, this is where it's going to end up, and this is where it always ends up. We have a feeling of superiority, like we're finally getting it, we're finally here, I've got this, I am great, but it's not coming from a grounded place, it's coming from a place of I need to show what I can do. And those obstacles that we are facing throughout all of this, they are self-imposed. We are putting them in our own way. And then from here, the cycle starts again. The turmoil means we leave whatever we're doing disappointed, and in a need to avoid those really uncomfortable feelings, we're not sticking with anything. We're not making any kind of change. We're not sticking with anything. We're not sticking with something long enough to see if it works out, and the change we're making is not meaningful. Fred, with all the clarifiers, there is a distinctive lack of air cards, our swords, which tells us that things aren't being fully thought through. It's action and it's motion and it's movement, which is all great, but there's no real direction to it. It's really directionless and it's ungrounded. Finally, we're going to reshuffle, and we are going to pick a central final card, really focusing on the feeling that comes up from this reading. So we can reshuffle when we are slightly changing the question, or if we're asking for a big overarching theme. If that feels appropriate for you, you do not have to reshuffle. But if we're changing the question and kind of starting a new part of the reading, I personally like to. Our final card is the 10 of Wands reverse, which underpins all of this, and this card is burdens. So given the reading that we've had already, this makes sense. These are things that are being put on us by others, or things that we just keep saying yes to and we're not putting down. This is a card of burnout. This cycle has been going on for so long and you are tired. Things are going to start slipping. We've gone past the point of being able to put things down, and things are starting to fall. And things are starting to feel uncomfortable and stressful. With this card, it's saying it's time to pause. It's time to put things down. It's time to stop moving. And our final word of advice from this reading is to rest, to really rest. How did you find your full pip card reading? As you can see, when you start pulling clarifiers and adding more cards, things can get a little more complicated. There's a lot more things to kind of tie into other things. So that's why I started you off way back in shuffling and spreads in lesson 3, I think that was, on only starting with 3, 4 and 5 card readings. Because as you can imagine, certain spreads will go up to 10 cards or more. And then when you start pulling clarifiers, you can go through the entire deck, no problem. But then that's a lot to try and relate to each other. So that's why slowly starting with smaller spreads and then building out with clarifying cards is a really good way to start learning the deck. Homework. I'm going to ask you to do a reading this week. You can choose whether you do a single suit reading. And a fun way to do that is to shuffle your deck, pull the first 4 cards and see what suit comes up the most, and then read for that suit. Or alternatively, do a full pip card reading. If you'd like to, use any of the spreads that I gave you in your shuffling and spreads lesson, lesson 3, and give it a go. Let me know how you get on with your first kind of bigger sets of readings. Next week, we are starting our introduction to the court cards. So we will be going over an overview of what all the court cards are, what the different things mean, why they can trip so many people up, and try and demystify them a bit for you. And after that, we will be meeting each court one by one, just as we met the pip cards one by one. After that, hopefully you'll have a very strong understanding of the court cards. That is everything from me for this week. Hope you have a lovely rest of your week wherever you are, and I will see you very soon for an introduction to the court cards. Bye guys.